Hey friends, today is the day. I'm going to propagate my monstera, which is huge at this point. It's outgrowing my apartment. It's about 5 feet wide and 5 feet tall, and there's like a perfect limb growing on the left side of the plant kind of outwards that I can just chop it off and make a couple propagations out of it. So I'll take you along with me and show you how I do it. Alright, so this is an overview of my plant. It is humongous. I couldn't be more proud. She is reaching over here and blocking this entire area so that I can't put plants on it, so that needs to be fixed. And completely reaching over towards the window. And this is the side I'm planning on cutting off. So let me show you where exactly I'm gonna cut it. Oh, also, there's a new leaf there coming out and a new leaf here. So exciting. So this is the side of the plant that I am planning on propagating. And what's important when propagating most plants, especially monsteras, you can see here, there's this little aerial root coming out of this bulb side over here. This is what's called a node. And the new roots for the plant that you propagate will grow from that node. You can see there's another one there and another one there, and it just keeps going down the plant. If you don't have a node for your cutting, so say you cut it right above the node right here, you might get a few roots, but I highly doubt it, and the plant won't grow. It'll just stay as a leaf until it dies. But if you get a node in your cutting, and you can propagate it in water, soil, moss, whatever you feel most comfortable, you'll 90% of the time get a full new plant out of it. So my exact plan is to get a couple, at least 2 or 3 different cuttings out of this to make 2 or 3 different plants. Maybe give a couple to friends or whoever wants any. I know whenever I post a picture of this plant, like, I get people in my DMs asking for a cutting, so I know that people want them. So I'm going to show you exactly where I'm going to cut. So this top section, that leaf and that leaf are coming out of this same node here. And then the third leaf that's right below them is in another node right below those. I was originally thinking of keeping them together, but I think if I want more cuttings, I can cut right in the middle here, get this top cutting, and then cut here and have another leaf stem cutting. Then we can go down here. There's another node here with another leaf over here, so that's another stem cutting I can get. And if I want to, there is another node down there that I can cut and get this leaf. And then there's one more leaf down here, but it has a little bit of damage on it. I think somehow got ripped at the nursery, and then just this one like strip of it died. So I'm not sure if I'll keep this as a cutting, but there's another node down there that I could cut it at and potentially get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-ish cuttings. So I will show you how it goes. First, make sure whatever you're cutting with is clean so you don't spread diseases between your plants. For a thicker plant like a monstera, like you can see how some of these stems are really, really thick, and some are thinner, but I would recommend some shears if you can get your hands on them. If not, scissors will work. Just be really careful about your cutting, because if it's kind of like not a clean cut, it might get diseased or kind of rot off easier than if you just did like a clean straight cut. So I definitely recommend shears like this, but scissors will work too if that's all you have. Okay, just to recap, I'm going to be cutting here and here and here, and then we'll talk about, I'll decide later if I want to do those. There we go. I always get nervous when I cut my plants. Oh, I just gotta do it. They'll be okay. Okay. Oh, also when you cut, make sure you leave a little space underneath the node, just in case while you are propagating there's some rotting issues. There's always something you can trim off so you don't lose the entire cutting. So I'll probably cut right about here. I hope you can see this. Oh, that sound. All right, first cutting done. All right, next I'm gonna cut right about here. You can see that. Nice aerial root. I definitely am gonna cut this one over here. That one's aerial root is even longer. I don't know if you can see that. All right, I think I'm gonna cut this one down here. Take that as my last cutting. Oh my gosh, the aerial root. I'm gonna have to rip it off. Oh, I'm sorry. I just had to cut the aerial root because it was literally wrapped around the bowl. It's so long. And I think that's it. I think I'm gonna leave this one here. Maybe I'll take it off in the future if it shows more signs of damage, but for now I think it's okay. And I just cleared this whole side of the monstera, so awesome. Let's get these cuttings in some water. I also wanted to quickly show you my moss pole situation I have going on. Let me get in there. So I have a bunch of stems tied up to the moss pole. And when I first did this, it was this side, this left side of the plant that was really stem heavy and really needed a lot of support. Now it's getting a little bit crowded. And then let me try to see if I can show you. This giant thick stem here just took off out of nowhere, is giving these beautiful, massive leaves. But they need a lot of support. So what I think I'm gonna do now that I've cleared this space of the monstera is I'm gonna let all the stems here a little bit looser, especially because they need more space because, I mean, look, the leaves are kind of fighting for space right now. So I'm gonna let those go a little bit looser to this side since now that there's more space for them there. And then that stem in the back, I'm going to try to use the moss pole to support. And hopefully that will give me more space over here on my plant shelf that is now completely blocked by these two beautiful yet giant leaves. So hopefully I can get that done today after I'm done putting all of my new propagations in water. So this is what all of the cuttings look like. They're pretty big leaves, so that's really exciting. So I got 4 cuttings in total. And then these are all the nodes and these super long aerial roots. Alright, so I have my cuttings here, and I have a couple of vases that I'm going to be putting my cuttings in. I think I'm going to put the top cutting in here. I got this vase actually from the Goodwill for like $3, and it's really thick and like sturdy vase, which is really cool because I feel like something this size at any other store would be really expensive. I have this vase that I've had like forever, and then I have this pot. It's technically a plant pot, but I'm going to use it to propagate, and it's pretty tall that I got from my boyfriend's parents for Christmas, so hopefully I can fit all of the cuttings in these 3 vases. Alright, so I have all of my cuttings in their respective vases. I fit the top cutting in here. I fit one of the smaller ones in this smaller vase, and then I have 2 in here, and then I'm just going to fill them up with water. I know a lot of people propagate with moss or should just put it straight in soil, but if you put it in soil you have to be a little bit more worried about bacteria and rotting and stuff like that. Or you can do leca, whatever you feel most comfortable. I just always feel the most comfortable and feel like I have the most success with propagating straight in water, especially with these monsteras. So I'm gonna fill these up and then I'll show you what everything looks like. Okay, so we're all filled up. Everything has water. What's most important is that the node is completely submerged in water. So obviously you don't need to fill it up all of the way. That would just be kind of pointless and might harm the plant. But the node and the aerial root need to be covered in water because, again, all of the new roots are going to come from this point and from the aerial root, not from this part or this stem or anything, but from right there. So that needs to be submerged in water. Okay, now we have a clearer view of what's really going on over here, and it looks just way too crowded. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm gonna be cutting off all of this twine that I have all the stems wrapped up in, letting that kind of fall freely, and then seeing what it looks like, see what still needs support, and then try to make room for the stem on the other side to be supported as well. Alright, so I'm looking here and it's really not looking so bad. It kind of fell away a little bit. But I think I can definitely tie up the other side to this pole instead of this. I think this will be okay for now without the support of the twine and the moss pole. Don't judge me, I'm going to be using Christmas ribbon because I cannot find my ball of twine right now. But as soon as I find it, I will replace the ribbon with the twine. I'm also going to try to angle the plant a little bit more this way without hurting anything. That's definitely one thing to keep in mind about bigger plants. They are beautiful and I wouldn't trade them for the world, but they can be a little bit difficult to deal with, especially when it comes to space. Alright, I hope you can see what I'm doing. If not, it's okay, I'll just narrate everything. So I'm going to try to pull up this thick stem over as much as I can without hurting anything, snapping anything. If it doesn't come up as far as I hoped, that's okay. Any space is good space, so I will just be taking the ribbon around a thick part of the stem so that there's support and there's not any pressure on maybe the thinner stems. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna loop it around the stem that I want to tie up, and then cross it over the moss pole, and then just gently keep pulling it up. Alright, that feels like a good place to stop. So I'm really hoping that this ribbon works, because the twine worked really well before. But I think this will be okay, and I think it'll be less stress on the stems. Like, it won't be cutting into the stems maybe like the twine was. So hopefully this works. Alright, just gonna tie that knot there. And now she has a pretty ribbon. Alright, actually I think that's really good. I think I've just made a lot of space for myself. Here, I'll show you. Alright, so this is what we're looking like. This big leaf was once all the way over there, and now it's leaning on the moss pole for some support. And this is what the whole plant is looking like. Still just as bushy and big as before, but a little bit more compact now. And these bad boys still are kind of in the way, but at least there's actually room for plants now on that side of the shelf, so that's good. I could also try to maybe rotate this plant around just so that it faces more of the window and not so much the plant lights on the shelf, but we'll see how that goes. But for now, I'm really happy with it. Alright guys, that's pretty much it. I'm really happy with how the monstera looks now. I think I'm gonna get a bunch of new leaves, and I think it's gonna be a lot more well supported, so, oh my god. I think that's a good thing, and I got a bunch of cuttings. I'm probably gonna keep the top cutting for myself, maybe to make another monstera plant. but then that means I have 3 more stem cuttings that if you want them, my Instagram will be linked below. Shoot me a DM and tell me that you're interested in getting one of them and I can give it to you. Sounds good. Let me know if you have any questions about propagating at all. I've propagated so many plants. My Etsy shop is like pretty much just all plants that I've propagated. So I have a bit of experience in that. So let me know if you have any questions. Don't be scared to try it on your own. Don't be discouraged if a propagation fails. You know, sometimes they just fail and there's nothing we can do about it. There's nothing different you could have done. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. So keep trying, keep finding what works for you, and let me know if there's any way I can help. Thanks.